Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank you for joining us live in our take two version. We had some difficulty, but I am joined. This is a special report, and it is the premiere report for Fate Radio Network, Future After Traumatic Events, where we gear everything towards overcoming traumas, especially to help save the lives of veterans and first responders with the extremely high suicide rate. And if you do not know, every hour a veteran and first responder ends their lives. They give up hope. So we're here to give inspiration, encouragement, and equipment to help other veterans, as I was almost one of them, to overcome their traumas, their traumatic events in their lives, and to show that they can have an incredible future after those traumatic events, which is where we get the acronym FATE from. So I am joined live right now from Venezuela with Jose. Jose, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking part. Thank you for the courage and the cojones that you have to actually do this report so that people and the world watching this know exactly what is going on down in Venezuela versus the typical news reporters that are pretty much fed what to report on, as so it's political agendas and all that crap. But here, you have the freedom to actually speak out. We are using Jose as a general name to protect the identity of this wonderful, brave young man that's on the ground, that's been very affected by the massive earthquake that happened and has destroyed several cities all over Venezuela. So here he is live. Thank you, Jose, for joining us. And first of all, again, I can't give you enough props for the courage that you and your neighborhood have been doing, your family, your friends, in helping each other, binding together, coming together as a group, coming together to save each other. I know we talked briefly before how, like, from the very first day, you guys have already ended up saving lives from pulling people out of the rubble and removing the debris from the different buildings that have been collapsing. And according to the latest report that I saw, over 60,000 are missing, but it was unclear whether that was just in the main city or is that nationwide. Do you have any other thing
Yep.
to add to that aspect of it?
Sure. Sure. Thank you for having me, Miguel. Thank you for what you're doing. Well, to help not only veterans, but also to give us a voice down here. So yeah, 60,000 missing, or at least unaccounted for. That number actually came from regular citizens that happened to know how to code, and they built this page and this database, and it was just civilians counting for their missing and loved ones, and there's still no official missing number. So that's the best we could do with what we had, was just this database. There are still some duplicates. There are still some people that are definitely alive, but let's say that they are in the disaster zone, no signal, no way to communicate with their family, and they're still helping people, but they don't have their phone or whatever, and they are still counted as missing. So the real number might be lower than that across the country, but it is definitely high, a very high number that officials' numbers don't even mention. So yeah, that's how it
Yeah,
stands.
and I've seen some of the videos coming out of there, from TikTok and Instagram, and the devastation is just, oh my gosh. I've survived personally multiple different types of natural disasters, but that's like a whole nother level of what the destruction I've seen. And it honestly reminded me of like the aftermath of World War II when we would bomb Europe, and you just have those cities that are completely level and the buildings that are about to, maybe have one wall still vertical but could tumble at any time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this coastal city in particular, um, entire neighborhoods, even entire townships were, as you said, leveled. to the ground, and the few places that weren't completely collapsed, they're inhabitable and completely inhabitable. Like you cannot step a foot there because it could simply fall apart, and we still have some aftershocks. So that's one of the risks for the rescue teams, including the American rescue team.
Mhm.
They're still in the ground try to help folks down there, but you still have the risk of these uncollapsed buildings from just falling with aftershocks.
Now, there is a report I wanted to share that was sent to me, and let me read it regarding the U.S. and the State Department. It was tweeted from the press secretary Caroline Levitt. The State Department announces total compliance from Venezuelan government in relief efforts after Maduro arrest. And that was put and displayed from Fox News /politics/state, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, some responders to that replied the narco terrorist and Minister of the Interior, Diosdado Cabello, and other officials in Delcy Rodriguez's regime have been disrupting relief efforts and hindering efforts to save lives. What are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, for better or worse, Venezuelans are highly educated when it comes to politics, so we're well aware of everything that is happening in that regard. Some will say, "Hey, don't make this disaster, a political thing." The problem is that, yeah, you cannot prevent earthquakes, but you can definitely be prepared for when they come, right? Like Chile does, like Japan does, and
Mm-hmm.
how California does as well in your country.
Yep.
There's no such thing down here, and lots of lives were lost because of that. So this disaster is indeed political. That's the first thing that I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that, and just to be very clear about it, we fully 90% of the populations, you can check the statistics and the polls that are public from Bloomberg and other big media companies.
Mm-hmm.
90% of our population fully supports and endorses what happened back in January when Maduro was removed from power. He was a bad guy. I'm not going to enter into detail because this is not about him, but he was bad, and we are very thankful for what the US did for us, because we couldn't do it ourselves. We don't have a Second Amendment to do it ourselves, right?
Right.
So with those two things cleared, I want to talk about the disaster and how the government handled it.
Sure.
That statement from the press secretary is simply incorrect. It is not true, and that's the reason why we managed to get that community note on X, formerly Twitter. And just so you know, the first responders, quote unquote, from the government arrived 48 hours after the earthquake.
Okay.
That is not a first response. They were actually the late responders, not first responders. The first responders were, local firefighters that were
Right.
in an area, neighbors who survived the blast, and they were just literally unburying their, neighbors or family. And then lots of volunteers like myself. Where I live
Mm-hmm.
is wasn't that affected. Like, of course, we felt the earthquake. We thought we were gonna die, absolutely. But our buildings, didn't
Health steady.
collapse. And
Mm-hmm.
we rushed to help whoever we can. And the government never appeared. They appeared literally 48 hours after that, and then once they arrived, instead of being useful, they were actually delaying, for example, ambulances or these trucks with aid to
Mm-hmm.
support families that lost everything. They were putting a series of bureaucratic logs to prevent people from arriving fast enough. I mean, we're talking about an earthquake in which a building collapse upon you, and you may not have oxygen
Yeah,
in the area
exactly.
where you are. So you need to act fast, like very very fast, not 8 hours later. And even if oxygen is not a problem, what if
You got
a
severe
limb,
injuries.
if you're severely injured, you only have a few hours, maybe a day before you're dead, essentially. So, yeah, they haven't been helping. Oh, and also there were a few teams from the whole war, and we're very thankful with the whole war because they sent a lot of rescuers and experts and stuff, but they were delayed. They were like right after the earthquake hit,
Hmm.
all these countries, including the US, were offering assistance, and permissions to allow this assistance from coming to Venezuela were given 24 hours after the earthquake. So the first team actually arrived 30 something hours after the earthquake.
Right.
I mean,
Like
how do
3 days. Hmm.
no, I mean, I understand that you have to emit visas and whatnot. This is an emergency, man. I mean, if I was in charge and I have this emergency and I have the American rescue team offering assistance, I wouldn't even think. I will just tell them, come now. Like, tomorrow is late. I mean, bring a Concorde, one of these supersonic planes, and bring them all so they arrive in the next 30 minutes. If that was my decision, not 36 hours later. And last thing I want to say is that um, now 100+ hours after the earthquake, um, we do see more law enforcement and things like that on the ground.
Hmm.
But some of them, of course, it's not all of them, but some of them are looting. I mean, they were supposed to protect us, and they're just looting a dead man's belongings. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because I saw those clips are, I think they're going viral
Yeah.
about, especially that one that found the guy's life savings in the building, and then he was like keeping it to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took the crowd of the locals to stop him and impede him and surround him, um, questioning why he was taking the money and, um, the whole process there. And it was like he was hiding it and keeping it to himself. And then when he was confronted by the community, he just kept holding on to it until
Oh yeah.
finally somebody knocked it out of his hand. And then the bravery of the women there, that just started ripping up all the bills, all the money. They ripped it up in pieces so that the law enforcement there could not steal anymore and could not use it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That happened, and this crowd you're talking about, there were just moms who lost their homes and probably their families too, and they saw this guy. I mean, what if nobody saw him? He will just take that money and buy a nice car. Like,
Right.
in the US, you would see that and you will think, okay, no, they are going to take that to the police station to account it for. And no,
Right.
that's not going to happen down here. Unfortunately, corruption is just too deep. And then, yeah, that money, if found by a rescue crew, for example, could have been used to buy supplies.
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
and we had to rip it off just to prevent someone from stealing it. Like, it's not fair. And that's just one case. There's another case in which there's a military patrol. The military should be using their shovels, their hands, like we were doing to
Hmm.
uh, you know rescue people. No, they were looting a freaking washing machine. Come on. There's a
Yeah.
video for that too.
Yeah, I saw the video clip of that where literally he was taking the washing machine up an incline, and it's like, what the hell's going on with that? It's just
Yeah.
like, seriously, you're supposed to be a first responder. You're supposed to be law enforcement. You're supposed to uphold the laws. You're supposed to protect the people, help the people in need, during emergency situations and natural disasters.
Yeah.
And, part of my finish, but what the fuck are you doing? You're stealing from the people that have already lost everything. I mean, I tell you what, there's a special place in hell for people like that, but damn.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard to see. It's hard to see because they are supposed to protect us, and at the same time, I mean, we're very frustrated with that, but we're also very thankful for international rescuers like the U.S. I'm going to talk about the U.S. because you're from
sure.
there. They've been doing a great job, and it's a matter of they really go above and beyond. They will go check a building, they will check it again and again and again, and they never um, give up on potentially finding lives, right? Um, and it's we would love to have that here. I think you guys are very maybe you don't realize it because it's normal for you, but I think you guys have a very good first response. I don't know, protocol. I don't know how to call it, but your first responders are amazing. That's my message here.
Yeah, and actually, with my background, I was a first lieutenant with the Alabama Military Department, and that was one of our things. Was I was the land navigation instructor for search and rescue operations, and one of the big things that we did, what we call CERT, which is like more of a community emergency response team, where we would go through the training like basic first aid, how to revive somebody, as well as going through the preliminary buildings, looking for survivors and checking on people that were injured, and using special marks like marking with a giant X on buildings that we've already checked, so that nobody else
Mhm.
would need to waste the time checking that, and then helping those that we could help, and then before it turned into more of a body recovery kind of situation. And so that's one thing that I would love. Obviously it's a late now for this disaster, but going forward after this, I would love to help you guys, however I can, here in the States, to kind of organize something like that, just basic first aid skills, basic CPR, and then just the basic techniques of doing the search operations, building to building, and then marking the building so that people know that it's already been checked. And I think that would be better. So that way you're relying on yourselves, because literally the neighborhood is the first responder,
Yeah,
because they're
literally.
impacted right there.
Oh
And
yeah.
so you can do it that way, as well as getting the relief supplies, getting supplies from the nearest stores, things like that, and setting up some kind of like a triage center, or some kind of place where people can gather and make lists of who in their family is missing, and then have somebody organizing that aspect of it as well, and that way that will hold you over until the national teams and international teams are able to make it there. Because I've been on call for some natural disasters, and I know 48 hours could be a long time, um, but I also know it does take time to go over logistics, to gather
Hmm.
people up from wherever they're located to a central location, and then disperse from there with the plan of action into what areas they need to go into first, and which ones have the priority. And then there's the travel, because again, with a massive earthquake, being from Southern California, we've had
Yeah.
quite a bit of those. You know, roads could be completely devastated, and that would also be a hindrance to some of the aid getting to that, where they have to rebuild the road or use a different route to make it to the areas that need it for the supplies and everything else. But when you've got people uh, in your own government, and people that uh, like I forget what's his name. This guy, was it a 50 million US dollar bounty on his head? And he's
Oh,
right
the
there.
Diosdado.
Yeah, you want to share about that?
Oh yeah, that guy is the devil. Like, imagine a comic book villain. That's him. That's him. I mean, Maduro was the leader and whatnot, but he was just a puppet. He was just a puppet. The real narco, the real capo, is this guy. He's the one with contacts with the Sinaloa cartel. He was the one sending not only cocaine but also fentanyl over to your country. Plain and
Mhm.
simple. Maduro was the front-facing figure, but
Okay.
this guy is the one pulling the strings. And I understand why the U.S. hasn't taken him, because he's in control of security forces and first responders and also the gangs. So everyone uh, follows his orders. So it makes sense strategically to keep him there, because if you remove him, you will have a lot of chaos from these elements, these subversive elements that you'll have to control somehow. So it makes sense. But when you have to respond to a crisis, a human crisis such as this one, and the guy in charge of, providing aid is someone who just dedicates his life to ending other lives, that doesn't work. That is not going to work, and it didn't work. Just so you know, the first helicopter
Hmm.
that surveyed the area was not even a helicopter, was
Was it a drone?
an Osprey from the
Oh,
US.
okay. Oh, okay. Military.
Yeah, military. An Osprey came, did a reconnaissance flight, then they
Hmm.
landed, and the first crews from the US and from Argentina, you actually also airlifted Argentinian rescuers. The first helicopter, the first Venezuelan Air Force helicopter that came to this area, this highly affected area, arrived today.
Nice.
And they
Beautiful.
weren't transporting aid or responders. No, they were transporting Delcy, her brother, and Diosdado to make a propaganda video, essentially.
Seriously, they did not
Um,
bring any supplies,
no
no
supplies
medical
whatsoever.
equipment, no
No,
food, no water, no nothing.
just cameras.
This is-
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing, and we're very pissed. And I mean, again, we understood why he was left there, but in a situation like this, how do you justify having that person in control of our helicopters, of our military, of our policemen? Like, I can't justify that. I just can't.
Well, what blows my mind is why the hell does the U.S. have a $50 million bounty on his head, and he's sitting there greeting and hindering U.S. officials?
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You
Um,
know, this guy's
yeah.
got a 50 million fucking dollar bounty on his head by the U.S., and he's right there shaking hands with U.S. officials.
Oh, and also preventing a first responder from the US from saving a life. That also happened. There's a video in which he stops the truck in which the rescue team from the US was, going to a building where there was a life that they needed to extract from the building.
Uh huh.
And he just stopped them because they were doing something in another building and nobody could go to that area. We don't really know what he was doing. As you may imagine, there's a bunch of rumors. Some rumors say that he had a cash stash somewhere, or maybe drugs, or maybe guns, or who knows. Maybe we will never know. The thing is that he was there, and in the on the ground. He never goes
Mm-hmm.
nowhere because people hate him, so he never shows up. But he showed up in this area, which, I mean, imagine a neighbor, a few neighbors that gather and they lost everything. They are angry. They are pissed. They see
Oh hell yeah.
this guy. How do you think they're gonna treat him? Yet he was there. Why he was there? Why he was preventing a U.S. rescue crew from reaching rescue situation. Like there's something weird with that. And then we have this communication, like everything is going well. No, it's not.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I remember seeing in the photo of him where he's actually going around armed
Uh-huh.
with like was it like a 20-round clip? Do you know?
Oh no, this was the same police man who was stealing money. He was,
Okay,
I mean, yeah, he got a 32 bullet magazine. I mean, he was just a cop. He's actually a detective, a homicide detective, not even a regular officer.
well,
Why was he carrying so many bullets? Was he expecting to have a firefight in the disaster zone? With whom?
right. Well, being former law enforcement myself, you know, I understand, especially in an emergency situation, natural disaster, that, personally, I would be carrying as well just for safety,
Yeah, sure, sure,
especially
sure,
for
sure.
like looters or gangs, cartel, whatever, for myself and for others as well, I would do that. But for this other guy that's got the $50 million bounty on his head and he's walking around with U.S. officials armed, you know,
Oh yeah,
again, it's like, what is, it just baffles me
yeah.
the idiocy of it all. You know, and if he's so important, then why not restrict him?
Exactly.
Hold him in custody, bind him, restrict him, limit his movements,
Yeah,
so that you know you control what he does and where he goes.
exactly. That's a fair point. I think we would be happy with that arrangement because again, we understand we are politically educated because unfortunately we had to learn by making mistakes and by having to endure this situation for almost 30 years now. So we understand that certain compromises have to be made if we want to achieve the end goal of freedom
Mhm.
and liberty, right?
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
but this crisis is, I mean, it's a completely different animal. And I think that the US is smarter than this. I think they're just going with the cheapest solution. Just, I don't know, maybe because it's an election year. I don't know. The thing is that I think that certain things could have been made differently and more lives could have been saved.
Yeah. And now, so what is going on in your area, or I believe the your neighbor's town
Hmm.
um, was completely annihilated.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
how are things going in their situation?
Oh, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I don't think we're going to get that many people alive from, you know, today onwards. There's only one rescue going on, as far as I'm aware. You know, mall. How do you call this? A security guy from a mall who
Okay,
was
yeah, I'm all
the
cop.
a mall cop that was happened to be inside his I don't know, his little office. These
Hmm.
little offices where
Security office.
you,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and the whole mall collapsed, and this office didn't collapse for some reason. A miracle, I would
Wow.
say. Yeah, and he's trapped there. Very delicate rescue going on. More than 40 hours since they started. That's the only one that is still ongoing. The rest is literally just search and recovery,
Just
not search
recovery.
and
Yeah.
rescue. Yeah. Um. So yeah, again, this city was completely leveled. You know what's the first triage center that these survivors get to?
Hmm.
It's a McDonald's. Like the whole, well, not funny. It's not funny. Don't get me wrong, but it's, I don't know. It's kind of ironic that the whole neighborhood is in rubble, and then right in the middle is this
You got the
McDonald
golden
building.
arches.
Yeah, that. it's completely perfect. Nothing happened there. The windows, everything is perfect, and
Wow.
that was converted into a hospital, a field hospital, and they triage people, and then they send it over to other areas if needed.
Right.
Lots of volunteers. Again, law enforcement and military are doing nothing. International rescue crews are helping with search and recovery. And communities that weren't affected are either without electrical power, like no power, no
Hmm.
nothing, and the only way they communicate is through a Starlink and antennas. That's literally the only kind of possibility of communication down there. Situation is pretty bad as far as I have heard recently from volunteers who are able to go there, you know, deliver some supplies and come back, and they always come very low on energy. Let's put it that way.
Right. Now, are supplies being lifted, airlifted in, like
Yeah.
from Blackhawks and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay,
Actually,
good.
yes. I think on Saturday, an amphibious group took over the port.
Hmm.
That's our main port, by the way. De facto, of course, our authorities. I don't even think the U.S. administration will admit it, but de facto, you guys are in control of the port and the airport that we have on that city. And yeah, this amphibious group came in some kind of boat, military boat, massive boat, and everything is
Probably the
being
Marines.
coordinated from there. Yeah, exactly. And the Black Hawks, you
Hmm.
know, uh, take off and land there and move wounded from point A to point B. So yeah, the only problem with this operation, or the only not a problem, it's really just a concern. We're worried about it. Is the fact that who is gonna uh, take care of this aid? Who is gonna ensure that this aid is not gonna be stolen? Because they have stolen aid in the past.
Yeah.
We know that pretty well. So um, we will have peace of mind if the U.S. was the one, managing the aid and distributing the aid. But if a Chavista touches the aid, they're gonna find a way to monetize that aid.
It's funny you mentioned that because when I was living in the Philippines for 4 years, um, I saw a lot of the same kind of corruption. And it was during COVID, and
Mm-hmm.
the where the president Duterte, was shipping aid and sending aid to all the different islands for the local communities and stuff like that. But where the local leadership and local officials were taking like 75% of everything that was coming in that was supposed to be for the community, and then only allowing 25% of the supplies to be distributed to those that needed it in the neighborhood. And I just
Mm-hmm.
was baffled at how, you know, people see that, know it's happening, but do nothing about it. It's like the population clearly outnumbers the few leaders that are corrupt as hell. They could easily
Yeah.
overtake them, you know, and then distribute evenly, to the families that need it, like with the rice, the food, the vegetables, whatever, the supplies, including the concrete to rebuild the roads so that emergency vehicles can have access back and forth. And yet, nothing. 75% of everything that went through the local officials was confiscated, stolen, embezzled by the local leaders, and then only 25% received it. And it just like, you've got to be kidding me. But then again, it shouldn't surprise me because of how, evil the world is going right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why, I believe it's up to the community, like you're doing, banding together, stopping this kind of stuff from happening. Coming together with one goal, with one mission, and that's to save lives, to recover those that they can, to you know um, undo and remove the rubble to get
Yeah.
to, as many as they can, set up like they did with the triage center in McDonald's, whatever they can do, everybody chipping in to support their fellow man, to support their neighbor, to support their brothers and sisters and amigos,
Yeah.
uh, next door. And it's just, that is some of the, when we see the best in humanity coming together. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, at the same time, as you're describing, it's also when you see the worst of humanity acting out.
But you know what? And you made me realize this yesterday when you told me focus on the positive.
Yeah.
Um, when I did that, I realized that there's more good than bad right now. I mean, we do have these looters, we do have the government incompetence, and all these bad things. And yeah, lots of people died, and lots of people are still gonna die. But the reality is that we, without any sort of training, without any sort of knowledge on how to deal with these kind of situations, we managed to save over 15,000 people
Wow. That's
ourselves.
amazing. That's awesome.
So yeah, and not only that, I mean, on top of that, we took the little we had, because I mean, Venezuela is still a very poor country because of these 30 years of bullshit. Um, Yet people uh, gathered the little they had in terms of money, in terms of supplies, and they just gave it out to someone who needed those supplies more than they needed. I mean, they were willing to be hungry for a whole day
Hmm.
if someone who lost everything could eat instead. And that happened. I know because I saw it with my own eyes. I know because me and my friends did that exact same thing. I mean, we went into the disaster zone, dealing with this destruction, and we didn't
Hmm.
even care at the moment. We didn't even care about it because the only thing in our minds was, okay, that child is uh, thirsty. He hasn't drink water since 2 days ago, and I brought bottled water, so I'm just gonna give it to him. That was the only thing
Hmm.
in our minds, um, and that was kind of beautiful in a way. And we have cried a lot, but it was also beautiful, and when I think about it, it makes me smile.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's why I was sharing with you how I've learned through everything I've been through in life is that if you focus on the positive things and the things that you can do to help somebody else, it really um, helps the situation. It uplifts others. It's inspiring. It's encouraging, and just that kind of love of your neighbor that you have, um, to sacrifice like that and to care for them, it spreads like wildfire. And it is so much easier, afterwards when, because I know it's going to hit. Right now everything's still, uh, a mess. Things are happening, but there's still going to be a time for rebuilding and everything else. And after all the media crews leave the situation, after all the news media ignore it, they're still got to pick up the pieces and everything else. And that's in those moments when things will probably, uh, at least for me, that's when they usually crept up, you know,
Mhm.
and pop back up. But staying positive, focusing on others instead of myself and what I'm going through is a huge help and help get me going and helped me survive multiple deadly situations.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I cannot say that I went through what you went, but it. I mean, again, I'm not trained. I'm not nothing, and I just it was very impactful. When I came home, I was like, oh my God, what did I just saw? What did I just smell?
Yeah.
Um, and I was focused on that. And then I switched into this other mode. No, you help people. You gave this bottle of water to that little kid who lost everything.
Hmm.
Um, you saved some dogs. We saved some dogs. I love dogs, so that felt very good.
Yeah, the
And
burrito.
yeah, and that gave me a lot of energy. That gave me a lot of energy, and of course, I shared this with my friends who went with me, who are going through the exact same
Hmm.
thing. And yeah, I think that everyone who went through some kind of traumatic event
Hmm.
should apply that first. I guess that every situation is different. Some situations will be more complicated than that, but this little changes everything.
Yeah. Would you mind? Would it be safe for you to state like the town that you do not live in, but
Mhm.
a neighboring city that was devastated?
Yeah,
Would it be
sure.
safe for you to say what actual town that is or what region that's in?
Yeah, it's La Guaira. It's a bit difficult to pronounce it in English, La Guaira. So it's this coastal city right at the north of Caracas, which is the capital. So if you go to a
Okay.
map and search Caracas and then scroll a little bit upwards, that city you see right on top, that's La Guaira. That's where the main airport and maritime port are. Um, 400,000 lived there.
Wow.
The areas that were wiped out, probably 10% of that number. Like the entire region is 400,000. That city specifically, it's around 40,000, maybe 50,000. As you can imagine, there are lots of people who worked at the ports, at the airports. So you have airplane crews. Actually, we just heard that one of a person I know, she's a flight attendant. She's missing. So
Oh
that
man.
kind of people live there. There were actually the day of the earthquake. It was a holiday for us. Saint Juan, I think it is. Um, and there were, I mean, on top of the people who live there, there were a lot of people who were on vacation there. Like they have
Um,
this summer apartment with a
okay.
nice beach
Mhm.
view, and they were there. So yeah, that also that kind of people who lived in Caracas but went there for the holidays also were affected, and there were some social um, um, I don't know how to call it, like homes for people with no money whatsoever that were given out by
Okay.
the
Homeless
government.
shelters. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, we discovered that they were built with cheap materials because of the
Oh
earthquake.
no.
Oh yeah,
Right.
and that entire neighborhood was wiped out. So yeah, La Guaira again. Go search Caracas, scroll a bit up to the north, and you will see it.
Okay. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up that I've seen reporting coming out from there is the number of children that are missing from shelters.
Oh yeah, man. That makes me so angry. It's not even. That's the feeling. We're just so angry because there's human trafficking going on, and they're stealing children. Last report mentioned 6 to 7 kids that went missing. So the thing is that they were rescued from La Guaira. They were
Hmm.
taken into one of these shelters, mainly in Caracas,
Okay.
um, and they were registered in this shelter. And then when their family, whoever was going to take care of them, went there to find them and retrieve them, people in the shelter were like, okay, he is not here or she is not here. And that's it. Nobody could tell what happened with them.
So
Thank you
in
so
these
much.
shelters, was there any kind of organization where they were writing down the names and of the children that were being placed in there?
And we go to the very first thing I said, like all those records were created by ourselves. Uh, we're not
Hmm.
we're not the government. We don't have
Right.
access to our fingerprints. We don't have access to our census data. It was just a list, pen and paper. What's your name? What's your ID number? And hope
Okay.
for the best. And that that is a problem, a lack of a state problem, you know. So yeah, we could do the best we can with the things we have, but
Right.
they are easy praise for predators, you know, and it's so disgusting, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else since we're live? Again, I want to thank everybody or anybody that's watching. This will be rebroadcasted. Um, and is there anything you want to say to the U.S., to President Trump or anybody?
Sure. I understand your reasons, politically speaking, but there's a human factor here, and I truly hope you take that into your, into the calculus of your next steps. Like, try to consider what we want as well, because we could be your biggest ally in the region. We are so pro-US. Um, we're not communist. We're not socialist. We actually hate those ideologies because we have experienced what they cause. We want free market. We want freedom. We want the First and Second Amendment. We want those kinds of things down here. But if you treat us like we don't really matter, uh, I mean, we could break this relationship before it's even built, and it's not fair because we have supported you so bad, um, and we feel in a way betrayed, kind of thing. And I think that there are things that can be done in a better way, and we will for sure support you and your people.
Okay. Well, again, Jose, I want to thank you so much for having the courage, the cojones to do this interview. I want to thank you so much also for, being the witness to what's going on in the area and for giving this report. And, all my prayers, my blessings upon you and your family. And we'll continue to, I'll personally continue to do everything I can. Is there any, you mentioned that supplies are being flown in now through Kepler and stuff like that. Is there anything else that you may be needing or that the area may be needing that they're not receiving yet?
No, I think we're pretty much covered, and I really want to thank you all because I know that's your tax dollar. I just want you to know that we really needed that, and we're really thankful for those supplies and for the aid. The only thing I would ask is just to support assisting us. Again, we are on your side. We're not. We want to be your friends, if you will. So if you
Mhm.
continue to support us, you will have the biggest allies you could ever wish for. Um, so yeah,
All right. Well, mucho cuidado, mi amigo. Bendiciones, saludos, todo y ti y para tu familia. And
gracias.
and yeah, I just pray that everything will go well and continue to get better from here.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and I pray that the rebuilding that's going to be coming next will make it a better place than it was before.
Thank you so much, Miguel, for spreading the word and everyone who's listening to this. Yeah, thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Hopefully, next time we meet is gonna be to share some good news.
Absolutely. We'll definitely be keeping in touch.
Thank you.
Okay. Muchas gracias, Jose. All right. Take
Bye.
care.